This is Ashley Field with test number 18, bacterial culture. So we have our patient here, we have our sterile culture swab, we have our incubator, which is just a styrofoam box that's going to be placed in the sun, and then we have our chocolate agar petri dish and our label for the dish. So we're going to use her mouth, so we're just going to open up our sterile swab. Okay. See if she'll let us get a swab of her gum line. Hi, honey, I know, Eddie. Good girl. I know, good girl. Okay, all right, so we're done with her. She can go back. I'm just gonna streak across in a pattern. We're gonna do 3 sides. Okay, then we're gonna rotate. Just overlapping a few times. Then we're just gonna do a zigzag. Okay, so that is done. I'm just gonna discard my swab. Okay, and I'm just gonna put the lid on the petri dish. And we're gonna, this is gonna be stored upside down just so the condensation from the top doesn't drip and mess up the growth. So I'm gonna go ahead and put our label on, which has the patient's name, the date, my initials, and then it's a culture. And this is going to be stored, we're going to put it into our box. And this is going to sit in the sun for about 24 hours, and then we'll come back and see if we have any growth, and then we can put our antibiotic discs on there. Thank you. Hi, this is Ashley Field. We're back with part of task number 18, bacterial culture and sensitivity. So we have had our chocolate agar plate incubating at 24 hours in our incubator in the sun. So we're going to go ahead and see what we have growing, which you can kind of see. Let's bring this closer. You can kind of see we have a little bit of stuff growing in there in all 4 quadrants. There's kind of some white colony growth, so there will be something to culture. So we're gonna record what we have here. My best guess is that this is going to be Pasteurella multocida, and that is the most common bacteria that is present in feline patients in bite wounds. So if you get a bite wound and it gets infected, it's usually Pasteurella of some kind. It's the most common type that is found in cat mouse and dog mouths. There's a few other, so you can kind of see here, it looks pretty similar. Ours has only been growing for a little bit, so it needs a little bit more time to really show itself. But that's gonna be my best guess, is that it's gonna be Pasteurella. Our cat patient that we used for the sampling had a pretty clean mouth, so it wasn't anything too crazy in there, but there's still always gonna be bacteria in the mouth. Other kinds of organism or bacteria that you can find in animal mouths is Streptococcus, which is another pretty common one. And you can kind of see the overgrowth right there in the middle in all 4 quadrants. And then we have another one is going to be Staphylococcus, which you can see here. It's pretty easy to tell. I'm kind of torn between it being Staphylococcus and Pasteurella, so we'll see. It might be Staphylococcus, just with the gray streaking, you can kind of see that there. So we'll find out after another 24 hours. So we're gonna go ahead and add our antibiotic discs. So we have ampicillin, we have erythromycin, and then we have penicillin. So I have those discs right here. We're going to be using a pair of sterile forceps, and I'm just going to be placing one of each in each quadrant right into the colony growth right there. So I'm going to go ahead and just open. We'll start with ampicillin, and these are actually labeled already, so I don't have to worry about where I put them. You can see there's a P for penicillin, a P for ampicillin, and then E for erythromycin. So we'll start with penicillin. Just get this out. All right, so I am gonna take we're gonna go just gently placing that in there. You don't wanna completely push it in. And then we're gonna go for ampicillin in the next quadrant, spacing these out. Okay, and then we're gonna do the erythromycin. Okay. I'm just pushing those gently into the plate. All right. Okay, so you can see here we have all 3 of those, and like I said, they already are labeled with the drug, so we do not have to label these, but they are gently placed in each quadrant with bacteria growth. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid on this. I'm just gonna rewrite that we added the discs and what day and time it was. Okay, and then we'll come back another 24 hours and see if we have any sensitivity or resistance to the bacteria. So I'm just gonna put this back in the incubator. And that's gonna go back in the sun, and then we'll come back again and we'll see what we have. Thank you. Field back with the rest of tax number 18 for culture and sensitivity. So we have our agar dish here that has finished incubating for a total of 24 hours. 24 hours since we put the antibiotic discs on. So we're just gonna see if we have any sensitivity. So we have here, you can see that. So we have our penicillin, our ampicillin, and our erythromycin that we put on here. The only one that may have any kind of sensitivity is gonna be maybe the penicillin, but I think it needs more time. Just because there's a little bit of receding around and the bacteria isn't growing completely up to it on one side. For now, I would say that it's not sensitive to any of these antibiotics that we put on here. You would kind of see basically like the antibiotic disc and then all the bacteria would be receding away and there wouldn't be any bacteria up touching the disc. I think this does need more time to actually make a definitive diagnosis of what's sensitive and what's not. But for now, I'm just gonna put resistant to all 3. So we're gonna go over to our chart. You can see this here. So I have, let me just zoom in. I have all of the notes. I have the first note that I put in the day I swabbed the cat's mouth. I just put oral swab taken a patient and chocolate agar dish inoculated with swab, incubated for 24 hours. And then the second day I recorded the growth that was present. So we had positive growth present on the plate. I placed the 3 antibiotic discs, penicillin, erythromycin, ampicillin, incubated for additional 24 hours. And now I'm gonna put my note for today. So we're gonna do the date. And we'll do resistance seen to all 3 antibiotics. Possible sensitivity to penicillin, but need further incubation. Okay, and then I'll just put my initials. So that is it for this task. Out of my own curiosity, I am just going to incubate this sample for another 24 hours and just see if we can figure out which one actually is sensitive. It would be a little bit weird if just the cat's mouth was not sensitive to any of these antibiotics, especially since she doesn't have any known infections. So we'll go ahead and incubate that a little bit more. Thank you.